time to record another video that nobody's going to watch. So this time I wanted to talk about something that I kind of realized lately and that I think it may help some people that are dealing with anxiety. And I hope it doesn't do the opposite, because when you're anxious and you're worrying about stuff, you don't want to keep worrying about more stuff. It's not about that. But I've struggled with social anxiety almost all my life. Since I was a teenager, that's when it started manifesting really. And that's one of the reasons why I started going to therapy in my 20s, because it was very limiting. And the thing is, I tried to overcome it by forcing myself to face situations that I was scared of instead of avoiding them as I was doing previously. I was going to events, I was meeting new people, things like that. But in reality, deep down, I was still, and not that deep, just inside of myself, I was still feeling very anxious. The idea with these things is that you face those situations and then you stop being scared of them, right? But that never happened with me. I became better at it. I developed some mechanisms to deal with these situations, like, for instance, asking questions continuously to keep the conversation going, things like that. So I was more equipped to face certain situations, but still I was very scared inside, and I was still not showing up as my true self, and I was still very, very hurt and upset when I faced any form of rejection. And in the last few years, I started healing more on an emotional level, which is not something I had done before. It was all mental, psychological, behavioral, but I wasn't really taking into account my emotions. I didn't even know that they were important, or not that they were important, that they were valid. So I was trying constantly to suppress them, ignore them, beat myself up for them, things like that. But then in these last few years, I've done this process. And the thing is, one of the things you learn to do when you do this work is you learn to be with them, you allow them, you start trying to suppress them or make them go away or change things so they go away. Like, you just learn to sit with them, to feel them. And it's a very difficult process. If you're going to do this, if you can do it with someone, like some professional help, or at least have a strong support network, I totally recommend it, because it's really, really scary. You feel like you're not gonna make it many times. At least this is how I felt. And the thing is, I knew since I started this, especially this working with my emotions and my subconscious beliefs and all of that, I noticed like there's two main pain points. One is this fear of the future, of not being able, of not being capable, of feeling powerless or overwhelmed, all of these things. And this has been in my life ever since I can remember. And then this other one, which has to do with a very strong difficulty in feeling safe in relationship, like in relation to others, romantic relationships, all relationships, just with people. And they feed off one another. Because if I was safe with people, maybe this fear of the future would be less daunting, and vice versa. If I wasn't as scared of not being capable, maybe I wouldn't be as hurt if I feel abandoned or rejected. But they make, the perfect storm. And the thing is, I realized this is, as I say, at the beginning of this process of emotionally healing, but I keep going back to it over and over again from like a different angle, or a more like on a deeper layer of basically the same stuff over and over again. And this one, like the fear of people and this anxiety, I just realized it wasn't going anywhere. I could sit with my feelings forever and with my emotions forever, and still I was feeling just scared, and I was very triggered when I felt rejected, or I felt that I made a mistake, that other people would dislike me, or other people would get angry at me, or things like that. Feeling isolated is like the worst of all of them. Like, if I have an issue with one person, okay, but if I feel like the group is going to reject me and I'm gonna be like kicked out, oof, that is the mother of the triggers. And the thing is, I've just come to realize that the anxiety was there for a reason, because we so often hear like anxiety is just anxiety, just you can just ignore it, is your body sending signals that should be ignored, and then it'll end up going away when you stop listening to it. And there's an element of that. I mean, and in some cases it's that, I don't know, but in this case, there was an element of feeling fear of the anxiety. But also the anxiety was pointing at the fact that I didn't have certain tools in order that would allow me to feel safe in relationships. For instance, I don't know how to know when I should trust someone or not. That's extremely difficult for me to know. And I don't know if I feel like, if I see like a red flag, or if I feel something, like, should I trust it or am I overreacting? Is it okay to express anger at this moment and to raise concern or to address a conflict, or is it like not socially acceptable? Like, all of these non-written rules and codes that are embedded in relationships, I never understood them or learned them organically, and they were never taught to me. I was very emotionally neglected when I was a kid, so nobody sat with me, nobody told me, in these cases you do this, or it's the best if you express this thing, or if you do that. Nobody explained it to me, nobody modeled it to me either. My parents, like my dad, we were not part of his social life. He kept it private. My mom didn't really have a social life, and then so I couldn't even like look at people relating to one another and learn. My mom, for instance, she never like took us to the park to play with other kids and things like that. So I would play with kids at school, but she wouldn't do that because she didn't want to talk to the other mothers. So obviously she didn't have the tools that she could teach us, and so that made me that not having those tools, not having maybe a natural capacity to learn these tools, to navigate these instances, because I've been diagnosed with ADHD and maybe something else. I will get into that in another video, that make relationships a bit difficult, a bit tricky. Like, the way I understand things is a bit different than the majority of people. So maybe a combination of these things, plus some very painful things that happened when I was a kid, one of them bullying, for instance. It was like, I didn't know how to navigate that. It was like, I don't have the tools, this is too painful, I don't know what to do. And the only thing I knew how to do was like, okay, I'll suppress myself. I will just people please. I will just be whatever I think, I observe, I absorb that other people may like. But all of this is done in the darkness. It's like a blind person trying to find their way without any help of any kind. It's like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And in a way, that part of me never really grew up. Because the thing is, there are certain things that you're supposed to learn when you're a kid, and then they're just part of you. But if you don't learn them when you're a kid, when you're an adult, nobody's really willing to teach them to you, right? Like, you're supposed to have these tools, you're supposed to know these rules, you're supposed to navigate these situations. And if you don't, then you're seen as a difficult person or weird or problematic. So nobody's going to sit you down and explain things to you or take the time to communicate with you. So what happens a lot of the time is this, like, okay, we'll give this person not the silent treatment necessarily, but we'll just push them off instead of saying, you know, with this thing you did is painful, blah, 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 blah. So in order to avoid that, I was just trying desperately to mask all these difficulties. I was so ashamed of feeling this way. I was so ashamed, and well, at first I was ashamed because I thought it was all my fault. I thought I was weird. I thought I was uninteresting. I thought I was all the worst things ever. And then the more I got to understand that I maybe have some difficulties here understanding certain things, I was ashamed of admitting that, for fear of being seen as, again, weird, I guess. Like, oh, come on, you're old enough to know this. But it's like, I don't know. And yes, there are certain things that you can learn in therapy. But you spend an hour with a therapist, and then you leave their office and you go to life, and you don't have the therapist on a microphone on your ear telling you like, oh, you know, they said this, what should I say now? Should I get angry? It's like, I feel angry, but I don't know if it's okay to feel angry, just tell me. Like, that's not how it works. You can learn some stuff. And I definitely had to like read about psychology and to understand people a little more, because I didn't understand many things. I'm like, things are much more simple in my mind than these weird dynamics. But so I had to learn. It was very hard for me, and I'm even today like coming to terms with the fact that there are some people out there that are going to be not great people, and they just want to stay that way, and they will take advantage of you, that you are supposed to stop them, that they're not going to stop themselves, and they are just like that, or they behave like that. So that's something I had to learn after repeatedly finding people that would pretend to be very nice, and then they were not. And it's like, oh, okay. But then it's like, the next time somebody shows up and they're like nice, but they see something that I don't like, is because they're one of the fake ones, or am I overreacting because of the trauma? It's complicated. It's just complicated. So I think that these issues with feeling safe with people have those two components. One is the very painful pain that I feel when I feel rejected. And it doesn't have to be a massive rejection. It can be just anything, you know, feeling left out or in any way, or somebody suddenly texting and sounding a little colder, or, you know, like these things, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be a big abandonment thing. All of these things, they already wake up this fear. And when it's bigger, when I see someone really angry at me, or that they dislike me, or then it gets really bad and I feel awful. So this one component is that pain, and the other component is more practical in a sense, which is this lack of understanding certain dynamics and how to navigate them. So I don't think I could ever really let go, or my body wouldn't let go of the anxiety, if I didn't really understand the problem. Because it's like, the anxiety it was trying to tell me something. It was like, you know, we need to do this. We need to just pay attention to this thing. And because if I don't have certain tools and I just go around behaving like a kamikaze out there and being truly authentic and getting angry when I'm angry, and like, maybe I'm just gonna be an outcast. You know what I mean? Maybe people will really dislike me. So it's about so I wasn't gonna be really safe. I wasn't gonna feel really safe. But with the knowledge and with the understanding, and also like understanding that maybe it's not something I need to fix. It's not there's something wrong with me. I don't need to fix myself as if I'm broken. It's something that I need help with. I need support with. Maybe I need it can be professional, but it also can be friends that I trust, so I can tell them like, listen, I'm struggling with this thing, and express this difficulty of mine that I've kept hidden for so long. So they can help me sometimes, like, listen, this is happening to me and I'm feeling a little like this, but I don't know, can you just help me? And because the thing is, I don't want to isolate myself. I just want to find safe people. And maybe they're not the most abundant type of person on this planet, because being emotionally safe, there are not that many people that are emotionally safe. Let me tell you. No, a lot of people they're not bad people, but maybe they're very judgmental, maybe they're a little fake, maybe they're conflict avoidant, maybe, you know, a lot of things that will not allow for you to feel safe and really in a really transparent relationship, because at some point there's going to be something that they're going to reject, avoid, criticize, mock, whatever. So it's not that easy to find people that are emotionally safe, but I want to find them. I want to find them because I want to feel really connected to others, and I want to feel really safe in those connections. And maybe I'm not, you know, maybe it's gonna be just a small number of people, and I'm okay with that. I really don't have the energy for being like with people all the time, so it's fine. I like people as well, and I have friends, but I don't always show up authentically because of these fears. And it's not something I do on purpose. Not like, oh, I'm gonna pretend to be somebody else. No, I'm just like be myself, and then something happens and I stop myself from saying, you know, an opinion in out of fear of it being controversial or misunderstood, or me coming across as this or that. So I need to work on that, on both sides, on the fear itself, on the pain that is so difficult, the pain of when I feel rejected, that intense pain I feel, but also on the other side of like expressing myself and understanding those difficulties, or more like practical difficulties. So that's it for today, and I think I will come back next week.